What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Alright, today's video is going to be kind of a goofy one. I've done videos like this before where the enemy ends up winning, but this one I thought of and realized this could actually be a pretty funny video to do, and I guess you'll be seeing as the video goes on. The premise is pretty simple, and it doesn't require much to change. Buu ends up winning. But if Buu actually won, what would happen? Likely he'd probably just go around destroying everything, but I think I have a more interesting concept of what would happen. We want to have fun with this after all. For this video, let's set a like goal of 3,500 likes. If we hit the like goal, I'll continue with another part to the series and cover the Tournament of Power. Anyways, let's begin the scenario. So the change here is really simple. Buu already had the advantage until Goku and Vegeta fused, and he was about to attack them before they did fuse. Let's say here, Buu's a little quicker, or Goku and Vegeta are a little slower, whatever works best. Buu is too quick for them to get the earrings on in time. He launches an attack right towards them, separating the two. And since they were spending their time fumbling with the earrings, the Potara earrings fall out of both of their hands. Goku and Vegeta are both knocked back. Injured from this attack as well, Buu turns over to Goku first, the strongest of the two. He wastes no time. Immediately he rips a piece of himself off, flinging it at Goku, then absorbing him. Vegeta weakly gets up. He's Earth's last hope. In a brief fit of rage, he powers up into Super Saiyan. He tries attacking Buu while he's absorbing Goku, but nothing works. Even without Goku in him, Vegeta is still no match for him. Once he finishes absorbing Goku, Buu turns over to Vegeta, who's still launching attacks at him. In the blink of an eye, his hand is then on Vegeta's neck, holding him up in the air. Vegeta begins charging energy around him. He's going to use the final explosion again, but Buu's not going to let that hit him twice. While he holds Vegeta upwards, his arm extends out, creating more and more matter that absorbs Vegeta. Vegeta is assimilated into Buu, and now he has the powers of both of them. Gohan alone gave him a ton of energy, and now with Goku and Vegeta, his strength is unfathomable. But again, we want to have fun with this, so I'm going to introduce a little something different here. As we've seen, whenever Buu absorbs people, they do have a bit of an influence on him. Not just in terms of power, but bits of them seem to shine through. And Goku's having an influence here, but in a much different way. Goku's pure of heart, as are both of his sons who are also inside of Buu. With 3 pure-hearted people inside of him, something weird happens with Buu. They have an effect on him. Now, I'm not saying it turns him good, no way. But instead of him being pure evil, now he's transitioned over to more of an anti-hero if anything. Sure, he's still a bad guy with selfish motives, but he's not going to be reckless. You'll see how this affects him as the story goes on. Mr. Satan goes up to Buu, trying to plead with him to see if he'll do anything. He wants him to spare Earth at least. Shin and Kibito even consider teleporting in, but it will be too dangerous. They're just going to let Mr. Satan do his thing. Of course, Buu does have a soft spot for Mr. Satan. He tells Mr. Satan that he won't die. And actually, Buu has no incentive to absorb or kill the other people there. Besides Mr. Satan, Dende and a passed out Tenshinhan are also in the area. Ten wakes up too eventually. Dende heals him and he's filled in on what happened. Well, the good thing is Dende's still alive. That means the Dragon Balls are still active. They can get them, revive everyone, possibly even free the people from inside of Buu. But it's not going to work that well. Buu says that he will revive everyone on Earth, mainly because they're going to produce sweets and other food for him to eat. But in terms of everyone inside him, there's no way he'll let them be freed. And while he is sparing everyone, if they try and pull any stunts and get the Dragon Balls, they won't get away with it. He'll make sure to kill them before they achieve their goal. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Goten, and Trunks are stuck in Buu forever. But Buu has one last proposition. In exchange for being so kind to revive everybody, he wants a training partner. This is more the Goku shining through, but also because Buu does want someone to fight, and the strongest person there right now is Tenshinhan. He'll become Buu's training buddy, since he has no one else to face. Besides, he can't heal Tenshinhan after all, and if they're training and he gets injured, well, that won't be an issue. Ten sees this as an opportunity. He could get stronger by doing this, and maybe eventually he can kill Buu. So he decides to go along with it. Some time passes. Buu ends up reviving everyone. This does bring the other humans back too, the ones that were killed by him. So Krillin, Yamcha, and everyone else in that group is back. And of course Chaozu never died, so he's still there too. All the damage is restored, and Dende just watches on. I mean, at least everyone is saved, but still, is there really no way for them to get people out of Majin Buu? Ten tries to formulate a plan with Krillin and Yamcha, who also become training partners with Buu. But they come to learn that Buu is way too strong for them, and if they even try and gather the Dragon Balls, there's no way they're gonna make it. Not only is Buu fast enough to stop them and probably even kill Shenron, but remember, Goku's part of him. Besides the fact that Kid Buu is able to teleport, well, this Buu would be able to as well, especially because he has Goku in him. The second they gathered the Dragon Balls and try and summon Shenron, he'd have multiple ways to teleport to them and stop them. It seems they've lost all hope, as well as everyone else. Of course, Chi-Chi, Bulma, and Videl would feel the effects of this too, feeling it more so than the rest of the group. Things continue like this for a while. Buu's not going to rule over Earth or anything. That's not really his forte. He more so just wants to get strong and fight people. He even travels around the universe a few times. Again, he's basically just a neutral party here that wants to be strong and have fun. And eventually, he gets the perfect rival. Beerus ends up waking up. He's dreamt about a Super Saiyan god of sorts, but he doesn't know what that is or where he could find one. According to Whis, none of the Saiyans are alive, at least as far as he could tell, but there do exist some Saiyans on Earth, within a creature called Majin Buu. He tells Beerus all about Majin Buu, at least anything that he doesn't know. And Beerus is surprised to hear about all of this. Well, it might not be an actual Saiyan, but he does have Saiyans within him, and as far as he could tell, Majin Buu sounds pretty strong. Maybe he'll be Beerus' potential rival. So, Beerus ends up heading to Earth one day, meeting with Majin Buu. He's surprised. He thought Majin Buu was a villain, but he's not destroying Earth or going around ruling stuff or anything. It seems like he's pretty much been keeping to himself. Buu is absolutely elated to meet him. Since Vegeta is absorbed in Buu, he does have access to some knowledge of Beerus, but not too much. He knows that there was some god of destruction somewhere named Beerus, and just the name alone excited him. And Beerus has a proposition. He wants to fight Buu. He wants to see where he is in terms of strength, and maybe see if he could be a rival, possibly even achieving Super Saiyan God if that somehow could work. Of course, Buu's not going to turn this down, and the great thing is, he's not limited by being on Earth. He can go out in space and fight, meaning he and Beerus can fight with as much power as they want. Well, not too much. They don't want to destroy the universe after all. Since Buu has been training for a couple years, and with the extra people inside of him, he's grown exponentially stronger. I'd say at this point, he's probably close to where Super Saiyan God Goku was in terms of strength. This guy could train day and night without rest, and he has some great training partners, even if they aren't incredibly strong. Plus, with all the people's abilities inside of him, of course he's going to grow really fast. And this is before he even gets God Ki. And it's amazing too, no matter how much Beerus fights him, this guy doesn't get worn out, and he can always regenerate from any of his injuries, not to mention he has access to all that great magic in him. But at one point in the battle, he does try something sneaky. He tries to absorb Beerus within him, but Beerus is quick enough and smart enough to notice this. He sees the piece of Buu creeping up behind him, and without even turning around, he sticks a hand out behind him, Hakkaiing it. It creates a massive explosion of purple light, and Beerus tells Buu that's a dirty trick. Now, he's up to being rivals with this guy, but he doesn't want him to be like this. If he can't trust Buu, he might as well destroy him. He threatens Buu by putting out a hand in front of him, and for the first time, Buu is actually put in his place. He can't do anything here. And surprisingly, he apologizes to Beerus. Beerus still isn't sure about this guy, but he will give him another chance. That threat was more than enough to stop Buu. And thus, Buu leaves Earth, going to Beerus' planet to train. Of course, the Earthlings do want to try and gather Dragon Balls during this time, but they know Buu would definitely be able to tell what they're doing. They still have hope that they could probably free Goku and everyone, but then they realize it's not going to happen. Buu knew they might try and do this when he left, so he split himself into two, creating a weaker, but still very strong clone of himself on Earth, basically there to keep everyone in check. Meanwhile, the real Buu is out there with Beerus. He's having a lot of fun training on Beerus' planet with Whis. With all the techniques and knowledge of Goku, Vegeta, and everyone else, he's still a really good fighter both in terms of technique and strength. But he's definitely nowhere near Beerus yet. Of course, over the time of his training, he does absorb some God Ki just by being around the two. And since he was never actually taught before how to fight and only learned through other people, he does learn a lot of stuff from Whis, his first teacher ever. But one day during training, he senses something odd. From the version of him that's on Earth tracking everything, that version of Buu sent someone that was trying to get the Dragon Balls. It was someone that was part of the Frieza Force, and the Buu on Earth ended up capturing him. He learned that this guy, Sorbet, wanted to try and revive Frieza. And you know what? Buu decides to let him go. Revive Frieza. Maybe that'll be a worthy opponent for him. Beerus asks Buu if he's sure about this, and Buu says he's definitely sure. This will be a great test of his power. No one's really strong enough to face him right now. Beerus is way too high above him, and everyone else is far too below him. Maybe Frieza will be a nice challenge. After some time, Frieza eventually ends up going to Earth, still unaware that the Saiyans weren't there. But Sorbet did inform him about Majin Buu, which makes Frieza a bit worried. Apparently, Majin Buu was seen in orange clothing, the same clothing that Goku had. What is this? Did Buu join sides with that monkey or something? That makes no sense. But Frieza is pretty fine with his training right now. He feels that with his new golden form, he'll be more than enough. So he heads to Earth. And Buu teleports back there. When he arrives, he sees the other humans there trying to fight the Frieza Force. And with how strong the three of them have gotten, as well as Roshi there too, they're actually able to fend off the Frieza Force pretty well. And then Buu comes in and instantly one-shots everyone. Frieza steps out, asking where the Saiyans are. Buu says the only Saiyans here are the ones inside of him. Besides that, there's no other Saiyans on Earth. Buu absorbed the Saiyans? That explains the stupid outfit. Well, in that case, it seems Frieza's gonna have to kill everyone here, including Buu. Of course he knows that Buu is dangerous, but with how cocky he is with its golden form, he doesn't even care. Immediately, he transforms into this golden form. And Boo's ready for a fun fight. Of course all the humans are terrified, but Buu tells him to not worry. He will defend Earth, not because he wants to protect them, but because he wants to protect all the food on there. He can't just give that up. He launches over to Frieza, and immediately, it's clear that he's way too far above him. Frieza can't believe this is happening, while Buu is just bored. Well, he expected more from this guy. It wouldn't even be worth absorbing him. He's not nearly strong enough to even make a difference, and he doesn't really want that influence in him. So he just one-shots Frieza, pretty much to the amazement of everyone else. That was definitely something. They can't believe their eyes. But hey, they're not going to question it. Next up, we're going to have the Universe 6 tournament happening eventually. Champa's pretty freaked out to see that Beerus took this guy as a student. He doesn't know much about Majin Buu, but from what he could tell, this guy seems pretty weird. But Beerus is more than confident in him. Especially with the upcoming tournament, this would be a great way for Buu to prove himself. But they are going to need a team of 5. That's not going to be too hard. Buu goes to Earth, telling everyone he needs them for a tournament. Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Krillin, and Chaozu. Wait a second, a tournament between Universe 7 and 6? Held by 2 gods of destruction? What? He tells them not to question it. Just join, it'll be fun and a way for them to test their skills. So, they go along with it. And hey, you know what? This is pretty great. Buu's not actually the first one up. He's not just gonna one-shot everything. First up is actually Tenshinhan. And he's a pretty strategic and smart fighter, so he actually does well against Vegeta, especially with how much he's been training. It's a great way for him to show off his strength. Against Frost too, he realized that Frost might be a tricky guy, since he does look exactly like Frieza. And with his great eyesight, thanks to his 3 eyes, he's able to actually see the needle sticking out from his arms. But instead of getting him disqualified, he just points them out and makes sure that the needles are disposed of. Why wouldn't he take the easy win? Well, he's confident that he could win against Frost with his own pure strength. And he does exactly that. Instead of taking the easy win from that forfeit, he actually just embarrasses him completely, and still wins in the process. Next up, he's against Vegeta. And as we know, he's not really that good with coming up with insults, and also, Vegeta's able to smoke him out of the ring. Although he's had a pretty good performance so far. Next up is Yamcha, and he's ready to show off the fruits of his training. Well, not against Vegeta, of course. There's no way he could hurt him. Although, he could hurt him emotionally. I feel like Yamcha would be able to come up with some insults at least. And with that, he wins against Vegeta. Next, he faces Kappa, interested to see a Saiyan from another universe, as well as the others being interested too. And Kappa's actually more than powerful enough to defeat Yamcha. Then he begins facing Krillin. Krillin and Tenshinhan are the strongest humans in the scenario, way stronger than they even were originally. And with how great Krillin is as a strategist and how strong he is here, he's actually able to outmaneuver Kappa in some ways. He was a bit terrified at first thinking Kappa could transform into a Super Saiyan, but it turns out he can't. He's only in base form, and he doesn't seem to be transforming anytime soon. Krillin doesn't note this either. He doesn't want Kappa to know about Super Saiyan. That might put them at a disadvantage if he finds out a way to access it. But with a combination of his great techniques and strong moves, he's actually able to win against Kappa. But then, he's up against Hit. And of course, he's gonna have no shot against him. Even before Hit uses Pure Progress or Time Skip, he's just too strong for Krillin to face. Chaozu's up next. Crap. What's he supposed to do? He's not just gonna cower in fear and hide, but he knows he's not gonna win this. He at least tries though. He tries to paralyze Hit, and this catches Hit off guard and briefly actually works. But simply by powering up, he's able to free himself and then defeat Chaozu. And now's the big event. Buu versus Hit, both the last person on their team. And here, Hit actually has to show off Time Skip. But even with it, Buu's able to keep up somehow. And the greatest part is, he actually has a trick up his sleeve too. With all his time spent with Beerus and Whis, he's finally been able to harness God Ki. And while he's not really a Super Saiyan God, he is able to tap into this power and actually use it for himself. While there's no real physical change with him, Hit watches as Buu's eyes begin glowing, and he's surrounded by a fiery red aura. His power soars dramatically, and Buu vanishes from Hit's sight. He doesn't know what's happening. Did he just turn invisible? He even tries using Time Skip to see if he could find Buu anywhere. Maybe slowing down time he could look around and see where he went. But everyone in the stands is completely amazed. They can still sense him there. And as for Beerus, Champa, Whis, and Vados, they don't just sense Buu, they're actually able to see him. He's not invisible, he's just moving incredibly fast right now, so fast that not even Hit could see him. Hit then begins taking attacks. He gets punched in the side, then gets kicked. He tries sensing where Buu's coming from, but he can't figure it out. Buu's ki is all around him. He's moving so quickly that it leaves flames behind him from his aura. The entire arena begins glowing. Hit begins taking more and more attacks. He tries using Time Skip at the very last second to counter them, but nothing works. With Pure Progress, he actually is growing, and he can skip ahead farther. He still managed to stay in the ring somehow. Maybe Buu just doesn't want to knock him out yet. But Buu's having fun too. This is the first time he could actually use his full power against someone, or at least part of his full power. Hit's a worthy opponent, and he wants to savor this battle. But even so, it seems Hit won't be able to defeat him at all, or make this fight fun. And then briefly, Hit's able to time skip far enough to actually see where Buu is. He's only a blur, but he does catch a glimpse of Buu. And he's moving so fast that before Hit can even process it, he takes one last attack and is launched out of the ring. Buu is declared the victor, with Universe 7 winning. Now Champa sees why he took on this guy as a student. So, where do we go from here? This plotline is still obviously unresolved. And without Goku here to jumpstart the events of the Zamasu stuff, I feel like Zamasu's not actually going to go through with his plan. Realistically, the next thing would be the tournament power. So as mentioned before, without Goku, there's not going to be a Zamasu. Sure, Zamasu would still watch the Universe 6 tournament and probably be a little bit pissed off at Buu using a god's power. But unlike Goku, Buu is never going to actually encounter him and fight him, and that hatred is never going to really expand. Most of Buu's win wasn't really from his god power either, it was a lot from his abilities too. But the god power did come into play, and as far as Zamasu knows, he might be an actual deity. Thankfully, Zamasu doesn't actually know that he has a Kai within him. If he did, then that would really piss Zamasu off. So, if one good thing comes out of the scenario, it's the fact that Trunks' timeline actually stays okay. He doesn't know of anything that's happening in the past, but hey, nothing happens with him, and everyone stays safe there. And this also means there's less chaos in the past too. Still chaos, but not as much as before. So without that arc, that leaves a lot of time after the Universe 6 tournament. Especially more time for the humans to reflect on everything. The humans are still racking their brains, trying to figure out a way to fix everything. But as far as they could tell, they're out of luck. Nothing they do can actually help. The obvious choice would be going for the Dragon Balls, but that's impossible. They can't go for Earth's Dragon Balls. Buu will know and he'll kill them. If they go for the Super Dragon Balls, that's pretty much impossible because they don't have the means of doing that. And if anything, that would probably piss off Beerus, and they were just used too, so it's not like they could even try that if they wanted or had the ability to. And they have considered using Namek's Dragon Balls, but Buu definitely would have thought of that. He is pretty smart after all. Especially if he notices a spaceship leaving Earth, he's probably going to know where it's headed. Remember, he has that clone of himself on Earth watching over everyone. And the humans have finally come to terms with this. They can't do this with a Dragon Ball, sadly. But that doesn't mean there isn't a way. The main issue here is their strength. They have no way of actually fighting Buu. But if they were able to find a way to become strong enough to face him, maybe, just maybe they could actually kill Majin Buu. Krillin suggests this idea, discussing it with the other humans. At first they think it's kind of a long shot, but Krillin begins explaining they might actually have the means of becoming stronger. They gotta use the Room of Spirit and Time, of course, and it's gonna take a lot of work and time. But who knows what their limits are? Maybe they could become strong enough to actually defeat Buu. And they could get other people to join them too. Krillin's already got 18 in the loops too. And she's actually been training quite a bit. But they also had another idea. Besides just adding 18 to their group, they need to add 17 as well. Maybe he can help. I mean, look at how strong 18 is. Who knows how powerful 17 is by now? Sure, this wouldn't guarantee their victory against Buu, but with 2 extra people on their team and a lot more fierce training, they might actually be able to figure out a way to win. They're able to track down 17, and it takes some convincing, but he eventually does join the fight against Majin Buu. He can't go training with them wherever they want because he has to stay on his island, but this is probably something that would align with his goals. He wants to protect nature and all the animals after all. And Buu poses a huge threat to all of that. He's basically a tyrant ruling over the earth and no one knows it. But hey, he hears about the Room of Spirit and Time, and getting a year's worth of training within a day is pretty good. He can leave the island for a day or so. And this is what everyone does. They make use of the Room of Spirit and Time. The humans all go in with Buu's clone. And everyone takes turns. The great thing is, Buu doesn't really get that much stronger from the training. The clone that he made isn't even a fraction of his full power. The bulk of his power is actually with the real Buu on Beerus' planet. And this one is essentially a punching bag, and he goes along with it too. He thinks the humans just want to get stronger and doesn't know what they're planning. I mean, deep down he'd probably know what they're trying to do. But he does want them to train anyways for a good fight. And for the androids it's even better. They can go in the Room of Spirit and Time for extended periods because of their energy. They don't have the same needs for food and energy that the humans have, so they can go in with other people too. And everyone sees some great gains during this time, but it still doesn't seem like it's enough. They've made insane progress. But it's going to take a lot more than just this. Shin and Kibito watch them from the Sacred World of Kais as well. Obviously, they've always known about this going on, and they're still angry that they weren't able to stop Buu at all. They really did want to help, but it would have been way too risky. Oh, also quick side note, sorry if the first 4 minutes of this video sounded kind of crappy. I was using the wrong mic, and I didn't want to re-record it because I didn't have the time, so yeah. At least I know it's partway through, so it sounds better at least. Anyways, back to the story now. Although, even though everything seems to be bad right now, they might actually have some hope going forward. About a year or so after the Universe 6 tournament, Zeno's getting pretty bored. And even though Goku's not actually there to start the tournament, this would actually make things worse for him. He'd be so bored right now. He doesn't have another Zeno to play with, and he doesn't have Goku either. So he's thinking, maybe he should do another tournament now. He liked that Universe 6 one, and if he did one with all the universes, it would be pretty great, and it would also serve as the perfect opportunity to test all the mortals. This might actually work, and with very little warning, he puts the Tournament of Power into motion. Buu is one of the first people to hear about this with Beerus and Whis, and Buu is pretty elated if anything. This will be the perfect time to test his powers, but also, he has another goal in mind. With all these strong people around him, maybe he'll find more people to absorb. There's gotta be very powerful people in other universes too, right? Who knows, maybe people stronger than him, or anyone else in Universe 7. He's hyped up. He'll get to test his powers, he'll get a good fight, and he'll get stronger. But he's also tasked with recruiting the team. And at first, it's not really too hard to find people. Krillin, Tenshinhan, Hiroshi, and Yamcha are pretty obvious picks. Chaozu joins too, as well as 17 and 18. Add Buu on top of that, and you already have 8 people, but only 8. He can't think of anyone else to add. But he has a really good idea. Honestly, he doesn't know how well it would work, but it would mean they get an extra person on the team. And in the worst case scenario, they could also recruit Jocko, but at least he has this idea for the 9th fighter. He could revive someone. He can get someone strong that he knows. And he begins thinking, most of the strong people are alive on Earth or inside of him. But who else could he try? Maybe Deborah. Would Babidi work? No, that wouldn't be good. But then it hits him. He has the perfect idea. He's gonna revive Frieza. Sure, Frieza may have not been strong enough to actually face him before, but Frieza was still strong in his own right, and maybe he can convince him to come back. He doesn't know if he'd be able to convince Babidi or Deborah. I mean, they'd most likely hate him after all, and they wouldn't be that strong in comparison. But this might actually work. He's able to consult fortune teller Baba, and she is kind of terrified of Buu, so she goes along with it. Buu then goes to Hell and meets Frieza once more. Frieza is furious. He absolutely despises Buu, even more so than the Saiyans. And it's not just because Buu killed him before and completely embarrassed him, but it's also because Buu took what's his. Frieza wanted revenge on the Saiyans, and he couldn't get that. Buu absorbed them, and he is pretty much a Saiyan now after all. I mean, he has them inside of him. So if anything, Frieza actually views Buu in a worse light than he did the Saiyans. But this opportunity that he's given, he could be revived. That's too good to pass up. And also he begins scheming. If he is revived, who knows? Maybe he can get revenge against Buu like he wanted. The two continue discussing in Hell as Buu tries to convince him more and more. And meanwhile on Earth, Baba returns and goes to talk to Roshi. Normally she wouldn't do this, but she says she has another idea for a fighter that they could use. Someone else they could take back from Otherworld. What? Is it another person from Hell? Why would they want that? They already have 2 villains on their team. There's no good people that they could revive. And even if there was any, they probably wouldn't even be strong enough. But Baba says they were forgetting something. She really wanted to bring this up before, but with Buu watching over them, they wouldn't have had the opportunity. And now is their chance. They could revive someone without any suspicion. And she begins explaining. By now she's definitely heard that Vegeta was absorbed by Buu. But everyone forgot a key detail. Vegeta was still dead at that point. He was only brought back temporarily. No one even noticed this. Buu might have had, but he didn't say anything. But after that time passed, Vegeta didn't remain in Buu. He was dead. He had to return to Otherworld. So Vegeta's power got taken away from Buu as well. And Earth's Dragon Balls never would have revived him anyways. Only Namex would have done that at that point since he was already revived by Earth's. So even when they made that wish, it didn't do anything for Vegeta. What she's trying to tell them is, Vegeta's not inside of Buu. He's actually in Otherworld, and although he did some terrible things and could have gone to Hell, he did put his life on the line against Buu, and considering how dire everything was, they actually allowed him to keep his body. And he was remorseful. He did get sent to Otherworld, and he's been training. He's not incredibly powerful, but he's gotten a lot stronger. And most importantly, this means they'll have another team member, someone they know, someone that's good. And just because of the dire circumstances, she'll bring Vegeta back to life. But only temporarily, just like with Frieza. Maybe he could help them out with everything. Buu returns from Hell with Frieza, and Krillin's disappeared. But after a few minutes or so, he comes back. Baba's with him, and he's with a very familiar face. While everyone was terrified before to see Frieza come back, they're elated to see who comes back next. Vegeta's standing there. And it leaves Buu and Frieza speechless. And it actually does make Buu a bit angry. Damn, this means they realize Vegeta's power was taken from him. But it doesn't matter. Vegeta's only going to be here temporarily, and even with him on their side, it won't make a difference. Buu is so strong now even without Vegeta's power. And hey, this means they have a 10th member for the team, so at least there's that. Vegeta's in a very weird position right now. First of all, because he's dead and he hasn't seen everyone in so many years. But also because there's 2 people he despises on the team, Frieza and Buu. But before everything begins, Krillin's actually able to pull both of them aside. Even though Frieza and Buu are both villains, that doesn't mean they're allies. Frieza hates Buu just as much as everyone else. And even though he loathes Vegeta and vice versa, they're both in a very similar situation. They both want to stop Buu somehow, and they're both dead essentially because of him. For the time being at the very least, they can put their feelings aside. They hate each other, but they hate Buu more. And Krillin acts as a mediator for this. Vegeta's in complete disbelief. He would have never in a million years thought that he'd team up with Frieza again. But they're working for a much larger cause, even if their motives afterwards would be very different. And after this, the tournament itself begins. Funny enough, Universe 7 isn't even worried about being erased right now. They know Buu's so strong that he'd basically carry the entire tournament. What they're more concerned about is the wish afterwards. What's he gonna do if he wins the Dragon Balls? They need to stop him from doing that in any way possible. And that's pretty much the pact that they have with Frieza. All the good people on Universe 7's team and Frieza are working together. And right when they're about to eliminate someone, they'll be calling Vegeta in to finish the job. By doing this, they'll be giving all the eliminations to Vegeta. And hopefully, he can win MVP that way. They also come to learn that Vegeta's way stronger than he was before. I mean, he has been training non-stop in Otherworld after all. He's been there for so many years, and of course, he doesn't have god powers. But his base and his other forms have exploded in terms of power. Plus, he unlocked something brand new inspired by Kakarot. With all his time in Otherworld, Vegeta eventually did unlock Super Saiyan 3, and since he is still dead right now, energy is not a concern. And even if he were alive, this wouldn't be an issue. He's used this form so intensely that he's actually got a great control on it. You could even say he's mastered the power of it, using it at its full potential. It's what he likes to call Super Saiyan 3 full power. And yeah, he might not be as strong as some of the other people on the team, but he still is one of the strongest. And this really helps him in terms of getting eliminations. All the other gods take note of this too. It's almost like Universe 7 is working against itself. Like everyone is trying to compete with Buu, but they try and keep it subtle. If Buu notices, he's just gonna get pissed at them and try and knock them out of the ring. And afterwards he'll kill them. But quickly, all the other universes realize that Buu's gonna be a huge issue. Not only is he incredibly powerful, but his abilities are insane. Regeneration, healing, being able to split himself up, not having to worry about being tired out. Even his candy beam, and things are going well, but he can't really find anyone he wants to absorb. A lot of them seem pretty weak, but he knows he'll find a strong person eventually, and he does come across that person. It's Jiren, and he could tell, just from Jiren's presence, he's incredibly strong. And Buu begins scheming. If Jiren shows his full power, Buu doesn't know how well he'll fare against him, but Buu kinda wants that power for himself. And since Jiren's off guard right now, maybe, just maybe, he can land a sneak attack, absorbing Jiren and stealing all of his power. But first he's gotta make a plan. He's gotta feign weakness. He goes up to Jiren, ready to fight. And even though he might not win in his full power, he still heavily holds back to make himself seem weaker than even before. This is mainly to drop Jiren's guard so he isn't using as much power. And he begins trading blows at Jiren. His attacks are doing nothing, but when Jiren hits, pieces of Buu are torn off. But instead of sticking them back to himself, Buu just regenerates. And he keeps those pieces all around the ring. Jiren might notice this, but it's not going to be any concern to him. He doesn't know that Buu can absorb people, so he doesn't know to look out for that yet. In another part of the ring, there's a clone of Buu fighting Hit as well. This is just what he wanted. And quickly, that clone of Buu absorbs Hit, trying to make it as subtle as possible, even throwing up a smokescreen so no one can see it. He absorbs Hit, then taking his powers. This Buu flies over to the other side of the ring to combine with the main Buu. No one's noticed Hit is gone yet. Jiren thinks he's just fighting two Buus now and doesn't really care. But something weird happens. He's then frozen in time. Buu is making use of Hit's powers. And quickly, Buu collects all of his pieces together. Jiren's still suppressed and frozen. And Buu then absorbs Jiren. It was the perfect strategy, and it works out just as he planned. Buu's outfit changes color. His aura flares up way beyond where it was before. And he smirks. Everyone else watches on in disbelief, and Champa then realizes that Hit is gone too. They tell Zeno to eliminate him, but this isn't cheating. He didn't kill anyone, and they're still in the ring. And Zeno thinks it's kind of fun too. Buu powers up, making use of Jiren's full power. His aura alone is enough to shake the ring. He then splits himself up into multiple parts, quickly going around, eliminating everyone else. The rest of the team doesn't know what's going on. Within seconds, every other person is knocked out of the ring, leaving only Universe 7. But the tournament's not over yet. Since Hit and Jiren weren't eliminated, this means Universes 6 and 11 are still in the ring technically, and until they're eliminated, Universe 7 can't win. This angers Buu. Just when he got a hold of his power, he has to get rid of it. But whatever. He jumps out of the ring, eliminating himself as well as Hit and Jiren, giving Universe 7 the win. And with Buu eliminated, this means he doesn't get the wish, and Vegeta ends up getting it, restoring the other universes. Things seem to be going well. They actually got what they wanted, even if it didn't go the way they intended. And once everyone's revived by the Super Dragon Balls, they return to their own universes, meaning Hit and Jiren aren't inside Buu. But this whole tournament, it gives Buu some ideas. After absorbing that power, he wants it back, and he wants more beyond that. The other universes are revived, which means he can attain that power once more. He's plotting again. He's gonna travel around all those universes, absorbing up as much power as possible. And by that point, he'll be enough to even surpass the Gods of Destruction, maybe even Zeno himself. All the while, everyone else in Universe 7 is plotting a way to stop Buu. Vegeta and Frieza are still there, and they're not sure how they could stop him, but they'll figure out a way. The last part ended with Buu wanting something that was given to him but then taken away. The power of Jiren and Hit, as well as anyone else during the tournament power that he could have absorbed. He wants that back. They all got restored and taken back to their original universes, saving them from being trapped inside of Buu. But he wants it. He wants to go to those universes, absorb them once again, get their power. Then he'll truly become the ultimate being. He was already strong, but this will just make him stronger. Even stronger than the Gods of Destruction, maybe. And who knows, after this, he could absorb Beerus, maybe even Whis, maybe Zeno. The possibilities are limitless, but he needs to collect more power first. And in order to do that, he's obviously going to have to find a way to travel to other universes. He begins plotting and scheming, finding ways to commit his next violent acts. But around the same time, other people are plotting as well. People that are on a very short timetable. After the Tournament of Power, Vegeta and Frieza are still there, but only for a limited amount of time. Now, Frieza being there is definitely an issue. If they don't stop him right away, that could really cause some trouble. But as for Vegeta, it's good that they have him there, that's perfect. But oddly enough, they actually have a goal that aligns with Frieza this time. Frieza despises Majin Buu just as much as them. He would want to defeat Buu as well, and he wants to use whatever little time he has left here trying to destroy him. Vegeta's already dead, and the Saiyans are nowhere to be seen, so he doesn't care otherwise. And the group has a pretty crazy idea, something that sickens Vegeta to no end. They might need to team up with Frieza. This is their chance. With these two alive still, that could help the team. And maybe they can all attack Buu at once, possibly even defeating him. And with Frieza stronger than pretty much anyone else, they definitely do need his help. Vegeta has to make the worst deal of his life. He and Frieza are going to work together in order to stop Majin Buu. But again, they need to work quick. They have a very small amount of time to do this before they return to the afterlife. So they need to do something that'll alert Buu right away. Right now, he's off planet. Immediately after the tournament, he's out in space, trying to gather more powers for himself before he's going to return to Earth. The plan is to ambush him, although he'd probably be expecting it. Back on Earth, they only have one way to do this. Gather the Dragon Balls. By gathering them, this will alert Buu immediately. The clone that he left on Earth to guard everyone will see this, alerting his main body to come over here and attack everyone. They have no other option. And hey, if this works, they'll even have the Dragon Balls on hand right away. Maybe even get them before Buu gets here. It's risky, but the main reason is to actually bring him here. But it does bring that potential upside that they might actually get the Dragon Balls. Although, that's kind of a stretch, because as they're collecting the Dragon Balls, Buu immediately notices this, coming back to Earth at immense speed, teleporting in not long after. Well, it was a long shot. They didn't expect to gather the Dragon Balls right away, but they do have some in hand, and the group is all together. As soon as Buu comes back, they all begin attacking him. Here's their goal. One of them needs to get absorbed. Just one. But how is this supposed to work? Well, there might be a way to counteract his absorption ability. Placing a barrier around themselves will make it so they won't actually get assimilated within Buu. They'll actually be inside of him, able to separate the others. Although, they may be long dead by now, but it's worth a shot. They could probably try and free them. Whether they're alive or not, this needs to be done, and it's worth the risk. It's the only way out of this, and even if it won't work, at least they'll die trying and know that there wasn't any other way. This is their last hope. They have no room for error. The group starts fighting Buu, and he fights them pretty casually. He does have fun though. First of all, seeing Frieza working with everyone is pretty hilarious, but also, this is a fun fighting experience. Of course, he has fought strong people before, but fighting a group of strong people like this does really help him a lot. He was feeling kind of bored and thought he'd never get the enjoyment that he had during the tournament, but with people like Frieza and Vegeta there, it makes it fun, even though he's way ahead of them. Krillin then flings a Kienz on him, slicing off a very small piece of Buu. It doesn't do much damage and he restores it instantly, and Krillin notices that piece of Buu is on the ground. He pretends to act like it's not there, and the group continues fighting, and Krillin is slowly absorbed by it. He immediately puts a barrier up, but makes it seem like he's in trouble, although the group knows not to help him. He's going to be the one to go inside of Buu, and he doesn't even need to fake being nervous. He is pretty nervous because this is all resting on him now, but he plays it up to make sure Buu knows that he doesn't want to be absorbed, or at least thinks he doesn't want to be absorbed. And it's strange, once Buu actually absorbs Krillin, he doesn't feel a huge increase in power. Like, he knew Krillin wasn't the strongest person that he could absorb, but he expected something a little different. Maybe he's at a point where even if he absorbs weak people, it's not going to make a difference. He can only absorb strong people now, probably. Little does he know, he didn't actually absorb Krillin. Well, Krillin is inside of Majin Buu right now, but not assimilated within him. The barrier worked. He can't believe it. And the great thing is, Buu is too distracted by everyone else on the outside and doesn't even realize that Krillin's working in there. Okay, so now he needs to find everyone else in here. I mean, if he's intact like this, that must mean everyone else absorbed by Buu must be the same. Well, if they're still alive. He dreads looking around because he knows how long Goku and the others have been in here, and he prepares himself to see the worst in case they're still not alive. But much to his surprise, he stumbles upon something really odd. He sees all the people that Buu has absorbed. They're in cocoons of sorts. At first, he only sees a few, and immediately he cuts them loose. Inside the cocoons, he sees Goten and Gohan. They look just as they did when they were absorbed. Wait a second, it feels like they're still alive actually. All this time, it's basically been like they're in hibernation, some sort of stasis. He doesn't know what's been going on, but he doesn't question it. These two are still alive. Granted, he was only able to free these two right now. He was hoping he could find Goku first, but this does work. Buu starts to feel strange. He loses a small amount of his power. Not a ton, but enough for him to notice. But just as soon as he notices, it's already too late. Krillin charges a bunch of Kienzons around him, flinging them all at random. Worst case, they're just gonna damage Buu. Best case, they'll help cut out other people. And they're aimed towards the top of the cave that he's in so it won't cut up anyone that's in the cocoons. More people are cut loose. Eventually, he frees everyone, including another Buu inside of there, that fat one from before. From inside of Buu, pieces of his flesh begins rising up, trying to reabsorb everyone that was just freed. And at the same time, a massive beam is launched from inside of him, trying to kill or at least expel Krillin from inside of him. And this beam, it seems like it'll be too strong to counter, but Krillin doesn't care. At this rate, he'll be destroying everyone inside of him, meaning he won't get this power again. So, at least it had some lasting effect. He tries his best to defend against it, but he knows it's not going to work. Until someone surprising jumps in front of him. A familiar figure stands in front of him. Someone with red hair. Actually, 3 of them. They turn back to Krillin. It's Goku, Gohan, and Goten. Wait, what? What is this form that they're using? He's never seen it before. Honestly, they don't know either, and Krillin can't even sense what's going on. But now it's time to escape. They grab everyone else, flying outside. It seems while they're inside of Buu, they also benefited from the power that Buu is gaining. With how much God Ki Buu had access to, and with how long they've been in there, of course they've been exposed to it at this rate. They all transformed, trying to access their strongest form, but access something really different. Unknowingly, they all just got Super Saiyan God. Or at least they've had it, but never had a chance to use it because of how they were contained inside of Buu. And now everyone escapes. Buu begins screaming. Without the others inside of him, it's fine. He still has the power that he got before on his own. But then he sees. One of the other people they pulled out was the other Majin Buu. No, that's the one person that he needed. He calls them idiots. They don't know what they've just done. He starts losing power, but still at the same time, he seems strong. This definitely did weaken him, and he's transforming once more. Everyone freed from Buu is very confused. I mean, they haven't seen anyone and they don't know how long it's been. They see Vegeta there at Super Saiyan 3 in a halo, and Frieza's there but he's golden and also has a halo. What the hell's been going on? They say they'll explain later, and they watch as Buu transforms, regressing into something completely different. Whatever this power is, Goku, Gohan, and Goten will use it, and the others have inherited it too, getting some access to God Ki. Piccolo doesn't get a new form or whatever, but still, he feels empowered. They're confident. With this new help, and with the fact that Buu's weakened, they can counter him. But something's wrong. As Buu transforms into something else, he gets smaller, and his power is lower, but it's more malicious. Like, it seems like it's out of control. Before, Buu was really strong, and he was able to keep it under control. But now that he's regressed into something else, he doesn't have any control over this power. He's completely unrestrained. Without knowing it, they just created Kid Buu. Frieza comments on this, mocking him. Look how small he's gotten. There's no way he'll stand up to them now, especially with the power of Golden Frieza. Frieza then launches towards him. Kid Buu turns over, giving a wicked smile. He then opens his mouth, launching a massive beam. Frieza's barely able to dodge in time. This power, it's completely unrestrained. Even though Buu lost a lot of the people that he absorbed inside of him, Buu is still strong as is. And now that power isn't being controlled by an intelligent mind. It's being controlled by a reckless, destructive brute. If anything, they might have just created a deadlier weapon. They're not facing a sentient Super Buu anymore. They're facing a completely different type of monster. Kid Buu begins fighting, completely unrestrained, not concerned about anything around him. He only has one thing on his mind: destruction. And with the great power that he has, it's going to be pretty easy to accomplish. But now that Frieza sees his strength, he knows to be careful. And with everyone together, maybe, just maybe, they might be able to pull ahead. They need to be careful though. If any of them is hit by one of Kid Buu's attacks, they'll be done for. Frieza then turns over to Goku. Why not use that thing that he used on Namek? That giant energy ball. Maybe that would work. Well, Goku says that would be a good idea, but he still needs to charge it up. They just need to buy him some time. And with how reckless Buu is, it seems like it'll be pretty easy to distract him. So, Goku steps back. They're not going to have his power in the fight, but he's going to lend it to a spirit bomb instead. And this will make for an incredibly powerful attack. One that might be able to destroy Buu. He even looks on Vegeta commenting on his new form. So he also got Super Saiyan 3 he sees. But Vegeta's more focused on that red-haired form. In the past few hours that he's been alive again, or at least in the living world, he's been introduced to so much, but never would he expect to see this. Another Super Saiyan form beyond his comprehension. Even Goku doesn't know what it is. But Vegeta's impressed and he could tell. They could do this. He smirks, then powering up, telling Kakarot to not let them down. Gohan and Goten power up. It's so weird for Goten to have this power because he barely even knows how to control it. And as for Gohan, he channels it into Ultimate. Ultimate inherently draws out all his latent powers, so just as soon as he showed off Super Saiyan God, it goes away, but empowers his Ultimate form even further, making him a very valuable addition to the team. Piccolo also tries to harness this ki for himself, and even the other Buu gets involved, healing some of the fighters that weren't trapped inside of Buu. He then starts by doing the honors, clashing with Kid Buu. The two start fighting one-on-one, while everyone attacks from the other sides, trying to make sure that Buu makes no progress. They're able to deal a good amount of damage, but of course he restores it right away. They need to deal a bunch of damage in such a short amount of time that he can't regenerate, which is what they hope Goku will be able to accomplish. It's pretty easy to keep Kid Buu distracted. With how many great fighters they have and how strong they are, this actually works. This strategy is going well, and they grant their own energy to Goku. The Spirit Bomb actually charges somewhat quickly. It's not the biggest one he could possibly create, but with all these strong people lending him energy, the power in it is so immense. This is a whole new realm of power that he would have never dreamed of in a million years. He tells everyone to get out of the way, launching the Spirit Bomb towards Buu. Buu tries to catch it, and briefly, he does hold it, but the power in it, it's so immense. Godly ki, the ki of everyone else around here, and it's being pushed by a strong fighter. This energy, it's so immense. And while Buu focuses on pushing this attack back, he's also attacked from all angles from everyone else. Multiple beams hit Buu at once, also pushing the Spirit Bomb forward too. They all coalesce together, creating a massive, powerful blast, swirling together with unfathomable power as it flies off into space, destroying Kid Buu completely, and then exploding with a brilliant light. They did it. They actually did it. They defeated Buu. They can't believe it. But there's still another issue. Frieza. Granted, he does have very little time left, but he's gonna make use of it. I mean, he does have some of the Dragon Balls here, and they know he's gonna try to use it for himself. Although, they're gonna be useless to him, but he doesn't care. He'll make some other wish with these, and then find his way to Namek and revive himself there. He has more than enough time, and all he needs to do is destroy them first. He did team up with them to defeat Buu, but it was only for that. This alliance won't last any longer. He's even more disgusted that all the other Saiyans are back too, and he doesn't want to pass up this opportunity to kill them. He jumps up, high up into the atmosphere, even going beyond it. In his hand, he begins charging a massive attack. Up here, they can't attack him. They can't come into space and fight him here. He's gonna blow up Earth with everyone on it. Everyone tries to attack him from the ground, but everyone with God Ki, they could sense something up there. Something that they've never sensed before. It's an incredibly strong power, a power belonging to an unfamiliar source. Frieza doesn't sense it, but then he hears someone talk behind him. He turns around, seeing Beerus standing there with a hand outstretched. He tells Frieza, Majin Buu was his plaything. Even though he didn't like Buu, that doesn't mean he just has the right to destroy him, especially since Frieza's only a temporary guest of the living world right now. How incredibly rude. Before Frieza even has time to respond, he's immediately destroyed by Beerus. He and Whis then descend down upon Earth. Surprised to see everyone there, especially to his surprise, 3 Super Saiyan gods, or at least 2 in the form and 1 using similar power, alongside others with godly ki. Oh, well, even though Buu is gone, hey, he might have found a nice new rival for himself, someone strong that'll entertain him. Although, he's gonna have to start from scratch, which is pretty annoying, but he didn't really trust that Buu guy anyways. Keeping him alive was kind of a risk, and the Supreme Kai didn't really like it one bit. This might actually be better. Oh, and there's something he forgot. As a thanks for helping save the universe, and the multiverse, and for making the wish in the first place, there's one other temporary guest of the living world that shouldn't be there. It's Vegeta. It's almost time for him to return, but a gift is given to him. Whis taps him with his staff, and the halo above his head disappears. Wait, is he alive again? Yup, consider it an act of kindness from Beerus. Vegeta would have never expected Beerus to do this, but hey, he's not opposed. And thankfully, they already do have some of the Dragon Balls, so any damage that's been done so far can be restored. They can finally use these again. I mean, it's a weird adjustment too. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Goten, everyone's back after so long, and it's great to have them back, but it's been a while. They not only need to be caught up on everything, but also they haven't aged, and it gives everyone whiplash with how quick they came back. But that's the only downside. Otherwise, everything is going so much better than before. Vegeta's a little bit pissed off that Kakarot surpassed him without even doing anything. He literally just sat inside of Buu and got stronger, but it gives him a newfound sense of pride. All the power he has right now is self-earned, and Goku feels the same way too. He didn't really earn this power, but he wants to make use of it, and Vegeta's gonna attain it for himself. But again, Beerus is a little bit heated that he has to start from scratch. Buu is already so strong, and these guys are weak in comparison. Although, he can whip them into shape quickly. They already have knowledge of God Ki, and one of them even has access to it. He tries to even train Goku's sons, but, well, one of them is still a child, and the other one doesn't really want to go there. Whatever. He has 2 Saiyans on his planet, and one of them's already a Super Saiyan God. But he's just amazed at how the mortals were able to accomplish this. Even with Buu's tyrannical reign over the entire universe, somehow, someway, after all this time, they still remain motivated, they still remain dedicated, and they still came out on top, even with the great odds that they faced. Mortals truly are interesting, and he needs to learn more about them. And also he's content. His universe is in a much better place than before, and it looks better after winning the Tournament of Power. And now without massive threats like Frieza or Buu, the universe is only going to look even better and better. This is great. Despite the weird adjustment of everyone coming back to life after so long, everything's a net positive. And unexpectedly, things worked out very well. And this is where we'll end off for now. So, what did you guys think about this part? And what did you think about this series as a whole? I could technically continue it, but it is about Buu winning, and continuing it without Buu wouldn't really make too much sense. I mean, I could, but I'm not too sure about it. It feels weird without Buu being there, so let me know below. I might continue it if you guys really want to, but otherwise, this is where it ends off. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. It lets me know you want to see more videos like this, and it really helps support the channel. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon to be notified about any future uploads of my channel, including more videos like this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this scenario, and I'll see you all in my next video.